Okay, turkey, roasting, boning. This is the continuation of the roast turkey video, if you will. And this is also a good, solid demonstration all by itself on how to bone a turkey. Now, why does that make sense, and why should this be a separate entity of information for you? Because the way I'm going to bone this turkey is the same way you're going to bone a chicken, or the same way you're going to bone a duck. All of the fowl are basically built the same way. So knowing how to bone a turkey is a little bit like knowing how to bone all of them. And that's where I want to take you. So now this turkey, as I recommend in the roast turkey recipe for Thanksgiving or whatever holiday you happen to be making your turkey, or for just dinner, that you roast the turkey the night before or very early in the day, which doesn't sound practical to me because you'd have to get up too early and stay up too late to do that. I would roast the turkey the day before so that you can make the stock. The whole reason you want to roast the turkey the day before is so that you can have the best gravy in the world. Now, what do I mean by the best gravy in the world? First of all, I don't mean that if you don't do it my way, you're not going to have a good gravy. What I am saying is that from a purely practical point of view, in this whole cooking process of making turkey with gravy and or sauce, or whatever you want to call it, keeping in mind that the only difference between a gravy and a sauce is a sauce would be probably more a refined gravy, if you will. And I'm going to take you there when we complete the making of the stock and the gravy. But for right now, why are we boning the turkey the day before? And why is this the best stock in the world to make in terms of for your turkey gravy? Maximizing, extracting all of the flavor that is present in this turkey is what you want to put inside the gravy. That's what's going to make it have depth and be rich and taste so good. And that's why making the turkey the day before does two things for you. One, you don't have to run around dealing with the turkey on the day that you're going to serve it. Number two, you get the best gravy. That's a really good set of reasons to do it the day before. Not to suggest that I want to talk you into it, because you're going to have your way of doing it anyway. But I just want you to know definitively why I recommend that, okay? So I got some gloves on just because I don't feel like getting too messy. I can always rip them off and put some more on if I want to. So here's the platter that this turkey is probably going to end up on here, okay? It's going to end up on this one today. But whether or not you use one that's larger and put more garnishes on the plate and things like that, that's something that's up to you. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that as we're going along, and a little bit later when I got the turkey finished, okay? But for right now, we're going to pick this roasted turkey up, which is now cold because it's been in the fridge, okay? And I'm going to show you how to bone this turkey out, okay? But first, let's get this platter out of the way. And we'll bring the platter back in a minute when I get it closer to when we need it. Meanwhile, I want some elbow room here. Okay, where do you start? You start by taking the legs off. That's where I start, okay? Now, how do you take a leg off? You cut the skin, and this is in the way, okay? So I'm going to pull that out of the way, but I want to keep that intact because I want to use that as part of the presentation on the plate, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassemble this turkey so that it still looks like the turkey a little bit, all right? I got that wing out of the way so I can come in here and cut that leg off. Now, this is going to be so simple, you're not going to believe this. Now, see, I'm going to pull this just about right off. You see that? And then, I'm going to cut it right. There's the leg. Now, here goes the other leg. Let me get this other wing off. Hold that over there. Same thing again. I want to keep the skin intact because sometimes you want to assemble the thing on the serving platter with the skin on it. Same thing again, right through here. And I'm just going to pull it off. See how it just pops right off for me? Now I got the two legs there. Of course, we're going to break these down when we put them on the platter. Now here's something that's fairly important that you need to understand about your turkey. This thing right here, that piece of meat, and there's one on this side too, right there, that's referred to as the oyster of the turkey, okay? Now, I don't know how you would normally put your platter together, but my platter I put together with all the dark separated, but still assembled like a turkey. So I'm going to take the oyster off of here, but I'm going to keep all the dark together in one spot. Now before we go at the rest of this carcass, I'm going to get all the primary pieces off of there. That's going to be these, which are these bottom of these wings, if you will. See how that comes off of there? And you want to keep that in one piece for now. I'm going to take this one off. These are part of the white meat package. Now, all I have left on here is the miscellaneous pieces of meat, and there's a few spots on this turkey that I'm going to point out to you where there's food and not just little turkey trim pieces, which ultimately are all going to end up in the stock pot with this carcass, okay? To remove the breast in two pieces, which is what I recommend, keeping the skin intact. Notice how the skin is still intact. Now I normally slice it with the skin on because it looks still like a turkey, and then it slips off so easily if you don't want to eat it that it's not going to bother anybody who doesn't want to eat the skin because they can take it off easily. So right here in the middle of this turkey, there's the breastbone. And right here, there's a wishbone. Now I'm going to show you how to get the wishbone out, which you got to be able to do, and how to take these breasts off and keep them in one piece. So there's a bone right here in the middle of this turkey, right here. And I'm going to cut an incision along the side of that bone. Now, right here is the wishbone, like I said, as it's called. And I'm going to come down, I'm going to hit the wishbone, and now I'm going to cut along the wishbone. You see there? Now, at this point, you're pulling the turkey apart a little more than you are actually cutting it, okay? So first, a little bit like I pulled the leg off. It just kind of pulled off. I gave myself the ability to pull it off by making a couple of little incisions. Now, I'm going to go down a little bit further here. Now I'm going to pull and cut and scrape a little bit. You see how I'm pulling? You getting that, Richard? See how I'm pulling it off, and then I'm just kind of scraping down a little bit here. Pulling a little bit more, scrape a little bit more, pull it, now boom, there it is, it's off. There's one breast with the skin still on it, all right? Let's put that in our pile over here. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side that I just did. Now see, here's the wishbone right here. I got that part exposed. Now I'm going to cut along this backbone that's right here, or this breastbone rather, right here. I'm going to make another incision on this side to get the other half of the breast off. Again, there's a little pushing and pulling involved in this here, you know, but basically they're all the same. And I move it, you keep seeing me move it around because I want to get a good grip on it sometimes. But same thing, I'm taking my knife and I'm moving it down. I hit the wishbone. When I hit the wishbone, I cut along the wishbone. See, that way I don't leave too much turkey meat behind on the carcass. Whatever's left behind, of course, we can cut it off and scrape it off and all that. Now, same thing again. I'm pulling from this angle. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it in there, Richard?
Yes.
Okay. I'm pulling, and I'm shaving a little bit with the knife. I'm pulling a little bit more, and I'm shaving a little bit more. And this way is the best way for me to do it, even though you can't see it as well, but I think you've got a pretty good idea what's going on here. The trick is here to end up with the whole half breast and not a big piece of it. See how I got it here now? I'm just shaving and pulling. There you go. Now I've got that. I got 2 half breasts. I'm gonna show you how all that's gonna get cut and broken down and put on the platter. But for right now, let me just put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. Getting down to some detail action here. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. First, all of the skin that you don't think you want to serve, which is pretty much most of the excess, I'm going to put inside of our stock pot, because part of this entire formula and approach to boning the turkey out is to make the stock. So I got a stock pot here. I'm going to put scraps in the stock pot, but scraps only. Okay? For right now, we're just going to set that over the side so we have a little room. Okay, now I got extra pieces of meat. I missed a little piece of breast there. That goes with the white meat. And let's go back and get that other oyster. Looks like I got the one from this side. Here we go. There's a bunch of meat over here. There ain't going to be much left here. You're going to see. We're going to get most of it. A lot of it you can just pull off. You don't have to get into a big cutting thing with all this. I want to nibble on this while I'm eating, while I'm doing this, but it probably wouldn't look good, so I'm not going to. That looks pretty clean. You got a little scraps like this here and here, but that's the bulk of that. Now, and then I'm going to show you how to get that wishbone out. Because on the tray, when you present your turkey, you put the wishbone right on the tray, you know? So I got some more meat here. Let's get some of that off. And here's the oyster I took off before. And here's the oyster on this side that I did not take off, which I'm going to take off right now. See? This is considered by some, this piece right here. And there's the other oyster right there. These are the 2 oysters. This is considered to be, by some, the best part of the turkey. That's why they call it the oyster. So let's see if I got any more stuff to get off here. Oh, yeah, I got some stuff over here. All right, that's the bulk of it right there. And there's little bits and pieces. I could pick on this all day, believe me. Now, I'm going to set this aside, this entire carcass, for a minute and put it in the pot. But after we get all this carved up and all the scraps are in the pot and we have this on the platter, then I'm going to go back and we're going to discuss and talk about the whole stock making process for the turkey stock. But for right now, just to get out of my way, I'm going to stick it up here and drop it in this pot. Okay. All right. Where's the best place to start? Now, this is something you're doing long before anybody ever comes over. Why don't we start with, let me see. Where do I want to start here? Make myself a little bit of room here. I say we leave these intact because this is something, I may throw stuff from time to time into the pot as you're doing this. These things you might want to leave on the bone because someone might want that on the bone, okay? I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a 1-minute break here. I'm going to clean this up and get the platter so then I can show you how to do it because I don't have enough room and we're trying to confine this chute to this space right here. So you can see what it's like to struggle in a home kitchen to do this. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing it here. So I'll be back in 1 minute right now. All right, I got it all cleaned up because it was getting a little messy there, as you can see. And now what I did was I put all those turkey parts on a sheet pan right here next to this. So I'm going to take one off, put it clean, and put it on the platter so you can see how I do that, okay? First, I'm going to take the breast. And you see how we got all those sage leaves that we stuffed in there? Kind of stuck in there. That's kind of nice. It's a nice little touch, and it tastes good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the breast up, and I normally would use a roast knife like this. This is what you call a roast knife or a rôti knife in French, you know? And I'm going to cut the breasts up in the size of the pieces that I think are the appropriate size, but you'll notice that I want to keep the skin intact. It just looks like you did a better job because you managed to keep the thing in one good piece. I suppose that's the best way of saying it. Cut her up. You can cut it thin too if you want, thinner than this. I think this is about the right size piece, you know, about like that, you know. Now, this, I guess right now I'm taking the place of the person who does all the carving at the turkey dinners, but there's no reason why that person can't do this to the cold turkey, of course, if they know how to bone the turkey out. And that might be the challenge that you put to that person. Say, well, there's the turkey. It's cold. You'll bone it out, and you'll need to cut it up and put it on the platter. Now, that may change the whole tradition. Who knows? But the one thing's for sure, you will know how to bone that turkey out and put it on because I'm showing you now. All right, so there's your whole half breast. I'm going to put that up there like that. That looks like that might be a little bit of a lunch thing right there. Okay, let's do that to the other half real quick. Now, you may want to take your skin off, but I kind of like having the skin on. It kind of makes it look like a roast turkey. It's got some skin on it, a little brown. It's got some color. And for those who like to take a little nip on the skin, it's got a little fatty, skinny flavor to it that we love so much. Except for when we don't, of course. All right, so there's the other breast. Here's another way of picking stuff up, too. You just use your knife. Okay, so there's your two breasts tucked away on that platter. And let's do the legs. We're switching knives for the legs. We're going to a boning knife. This, you cut right down through here. And you get here, this is a little bit like the other. You just pull it apart. You see that joint right there? Boom. Now there's your drumstick. Now a lot of times people will want to leave the drumsticks intact and put them on the tray. This tray might be a little small for this turkey, but I'll tell you what we might do here. We may do half of this turkey on this particular platter. And who knows? And of course, this is a 28-pound turkey. This is probably about the biggest average turkey you're going to buy if you buy it in the supermarket. I'd say your average size is somewhere between 18 and 22 pounds. This is like a 28-pounder. This is a pretty big turkey. But I figured I'd get the biggest ones because that would be the most difficult and time-consuming to cook and cut and present and everything else, as you can see. So you got a little bit of pink here, but not very much. You see that? I have a tendency, whenever I'm doing this, because I'm going to make stock, is I get a little bit less concerned about leaving a little bit of parts on the bone, because I wanted that bone to go into that stock pot like that, and I want to have a little bit of meat on there too if I can. So we're going to put one drumstick on this tray, and now here's the thigh, which is be considered to be the best of the dark meat, besides the oyster, of course, you know, which I pointed out to you before. So I would cut this up in some decent sized pieces like that. So now you're putting the thigh right in there where that drumstick's at. And here's the other part of the thigh. We'll put that right in there with that. You see how we're coming along here? So we're kind of keeping the turkey a little bit assembled like a turkey still here. Let's put the rest of that dark right in there. Now we're going to take one of those wing pieces, because we want people to be able to see the wing piece. There's some little spare white meat. We'll put one of the wings down here. And you might want, for the effect, you may want to stick one of those on there. Now remember, you got a big platter. You can fit a whole 28-pound turkey on it. That's fine. This platter is only really suitable to accommodate half of this 28-pound turkey, but that's fine. You may only want to serve half your turkey. Maybe you're getting a big turkey, but you only got 6 people, and you don't need the whole turkey out there. And now here, I have all that other stuff. But hey, I got to get that wing bone out of there, too, to show you how to do that. I threw that in the pot without even showing you. All right, so there's the scrap from before. Now, I'll take the rest. This is the other half of the turkey here now. So what I have here is the same thing I have here. All right. Hell, excuse me, you may have a big enough dinner going on where you may end up putting the turkey in 2 different locations. You got 15 people over, 1 platter might not work for it. Maybe 2 platters with a half turkey on each on different ends of the table is the way to go. Okay? So let's get this turkey carcass back out here. And let's get that wing bone out of there. The wishbone. The trick, of course, is not to break the wishbone itself, because the whole concept here is that somebody else gets to break the wishbone. So you just cut around it. See what I'm doing here? I got the bottoms of the wishbone here. See here, look. There's the bone. See there how that popped right out? Look at that. Boom. There's your wishbone. Let's throw this back in the pot. And what I would do here, this you want to clean up as much as you can, because people might want to grab it. You know how they break the wishbone? You make the wish. That's why it's called a wishbone. You make a wish. Whoever gets the biggest half of the wishbone gets their wish. In this particular case, if you're having this whole Thanksgiving dinner that I'm recommending with the bread pudding, or any holiday meal for that matter, I would wish to get a second piece of the bread pudding, but what do I know? I've been on a diet a lot lately, and I probably wouldn't do that, really. Let me just do this now. In terms of how to clean that bone up, take my gloves off, put my glasses on. Now, I know a lot of places, or not a lot of places, but some people will actually dry the wishbones on a string and stuff overnight. I've seen this before. But you could use a towel to get the stuff off the bone, a dry towel. And then now you're get the rest of that little let's get this little thing off of there. There we go. Okay, that's moderately clean. Now, of course, there's lots of ways to do this, and when I'm going to come back and a little later, we're going to make some cranberry relish and things like that. I'm going to show you a couple of other ways to help decorate the tray a little bit, but the way to go is you get that, put that wishbone in there somewhere, and make no mistake that that wishbone is there, and that's part of your whole turkey presentation. When you put the platter down, you put a little wishbone up there, and I haven't seen that trick very often, so that might be kind of fun for you. All right, so there is the boning of the turkey. Okay, I'm back to help complete the presentation of the turkey. I showed you how one might put together a half turkey, but more importantly, I have my grandmother's silver tray here, which is used all the time at my house for big things like this turkey. And I'm going to show you how to assemble this on this tray. Now, I have the other half of the turkey right here where I left it, and we're going to take this and that and put it together on this tray, okay? So we're going to start by putting those drumsticks up there, and we're going to put those breasts right in the middle. And we're going to put those wings and as you recall, we broke one of these wings off. So, and now we have dark meat, which we're going to put separate on the plate. So all the dark is in one spot. Now I have a couple of pieces left here. The dark to cut up. More dark. More dark. More dark. Now, here's your whole turkey boned out on the tray. Now, this particular tray, and if you should have anything this size, or maybe you'll do it in halves like I had it over here. Let's get that wishbone up in there because that's part of the garnish here at the end. We could even stick that wishbone right in the middle there. So I could take this entire tray just like it is and put it in the oven, maybe plastic wrap it a little bit of foil, just enough to heat it up if I wanted to do it that way, okay? But what I'm going to do is, just to show you a little bit of the completion process, is I'm going to take a little bit of this cranberry. I'm going to put a little cranberry on here with some orange. Trying to keep it simple, but still good. The important thing is that it's delicious and that it's easy to eat. And I might put a little bunch of some parsley in here, because I will tell you that the red and the green go together pretty well. Let's get that wishbone out of there. Let's put that wishbone back here. We're struggling as to where to put the wishbone, but who cares? The important thing is that your people see it, and it's just cool, you know? So I have a little bit of parsley here. And let's say chopped parsley left still, and let's say you wanted to have it look a little glazy looking. I have some melted butter, and you can just put some melted butter on your turkey. That would certainly be an option for you, but kind of glistens it up a little bit. And God only knows, I guess there's no such thing as having too much butter, but it depends who's eating it and for what the occasion is. So there I have a boned out pre-roasted turkey. If you don't have a tray like this that you can put it on, put it in the oven to heat it up, you can heat it up on the sheet pan and then take it out when it's hot and use your, like your flipper type spatulas to pick up the food and set it on the tray very carefully. And it's easy to do it that way too. I've done it a number of different ways. This is just one way. But the most important part about this particular lesson is making your turkey in advance, how to bone the turkey if you should choose to do it that way. Of course, the people who do all the carving on Thanksgiving may be very upset, so you might want to be careful about that. But I love it this way, and I hope you get a chance to enjoy it this way too. So have a great day with your turkey.